Okay, good.
Okay, we
Now,
are live.
proceed.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the City of Twin Oaks Board of Aldermen meeting for Wednesday, October the 2nd. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call roll, please.
Sure. Alderman Eisenhower.
Here.
Alderman Cruzen.
Here.
Alderman Whitmore.
Here.
Alderman Stokel.
Here.
Mayor Fortune.
Here. Okay, we have an agenda that has been properly posted for tonight's meeting. If there are no amendments or changes to the agenda, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We take citizen comments here normally. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Jonah. I'm here for, I did kind of city council meeting for one of my classes.
We're happy to have you.
Welcome.
Any comments on streaming?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. We have a consent agenda, which is the Board of Aldermen regular meeting minutes from 9/18 and a bills list from September 14th to September 27th. Are there any questions or comments on either of those? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Report of committees, Officer Weiner.
All right, for the month of September, we had 29 radio calls, 114 self-initiated, generated seven reports. We had 18 traffic stops. We had one DWI arrest, 5 auto crashes, mainly Big Bend 141, and Merrimack Station, Main Avenue, in the parking lot. We had one stealing from one of the businesses, and I logged 25.73 hours on the bike. Questions?
Any further update on the hit and run?
No. No, still an ongoing investigation. Once they do release information, I'll be able to disseminate it appropriately.
Has there been any progress with the vandals that have been hitting the area that you know of?
No, like I said last time, I reached out to the RIC Center. We had no hits on the possible suspect vehicle. We've had no other reports of that vehicle being in the area, so I'm guessing it was a stolen vehicle that they jumped in. We have had reports in adjacent cities and unincorporated around the same time period, but nothing lately.
Okay.
So unfortunately, they knew what they were doing and came in, moved quick, and that was it. So hopefully they got nothing of value, so hopefully they will move on.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, no old business. New business, I think we have some information on the insurance claim.
Is John here? Is he ready?
It's for the roof and what other damage we had.
So I was initially working with the adjuster, but I realized that this is really under John's purview as maintenance supervisor for him to be getting these bids and talking to these at the Bell House and here. So I turned that all over to him, and he's been working on getting roofing bids. So we've already gotten the settlement checks from the insurance. So they moved pretty quickly, and they've already been deposited. So now we just need to select a contractor and move forward from there. So John's been soliciting bids for a couple of weeks now. I think at least 3 weeks. He's been working on it, contacting people, and he's had to push a little bit on some people to get some bids. So I know he was trying to get at least 3.
Still need bids?
He was trying to get a couple more like this week, I think. So as far as I know, I think he got at least 3. But yeah, we don't.
What kind of roof is it? Is it a tar? flat
This
roof?
building has 2 different roofs. One is part of it's shingled and part of it is a metal roof.
Metal part's
so-
good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been, and then the Bell House obviously has a shingled roof, and then there's been some window damage at the Bell House as well. So he wanted to get that replaced as that was hail damage too. So nothing, as far as I know, on the comfort station or anything like that. Just mostly, I don't think. John, did you identify anything at the park, like the comfort station or anything that had hail damage or the pavilions? No, just the Bell House and up here, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, the park was pretty protected.
Yeah.
So.
Thank goodness for the trees, I guess.
Okay, take it away, John. I was just updating them on kind of where we were at in the process. So.
Okay, well, I met with James Bowl. And, they're the ones that put the heating and cooling in. I had him come out and inspect the HVAC units. He said there is some hail damage up there, but it's the shield for hail damage that is damaged. Units are fine. Don't need to replace anything.
So the shields did their job.
The shield did their job.
Hey, John, would you come up here so the camera and the mic can pick you up for streaming?
He
Thanks.
said that he'd be more than glad to come out and replace the shields if need be, if we want him to.
That's shielding the heating and cooling equipment up there?
Yeah.
So the roof is not damaged?
Oh, no, the roof is.
Oh, the roof is. So this is additional.
Yeah, but the shields on the HVAC units up there did their job.
Okay.
They took all the damage. So we don't have to worry about it.
So we need a shield for the whole roof, huh?
Yeah, right. If only there was such a thing.
Okay, that was the first one on there. And then I went to Gallagher Brothers
Mhm.
Construction. And they did both 50 Crescent, Bell House, and 1381 Big Bend. And to be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to really look through these myself.
Okay, 32,375.
For,
For here.
yeah, City Hall.
Just for here, that's not both?
No, that's just here.
And looks like, did he do one for the Bell House?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
Okay, 17,406 for the Bell House. Now that's replacing roof, siding, gutters, 3 windows, fascia board. And they went wide item on here for us.
They're calling us Baldwin, is that the deal?
Yeah.
Do they know where they're going?
They were here, they should.
So 49,000 for the 2 buildings.
So that was the Gallagher Brothers.
Not counting the shield. Did he give us a price on the shield?
No, he didn't.
Okay,
He said that he would work that up if we decide to do it.
okay,
He said most people decide. to do
Okay.
it.
all right.
Most people what?
Decide not to change them, keep them shields out.
Yeah.
You know,
Nobody sees it anyway.
right.
Yeah.
And then went to Martin and Sons. And they only did 50 Crescent Avenue. They said the scope of work here was too much for them,
Okay,
so they would not even.
so they were 15 versus 17 of the other.
Correct.
Yep.
Then expert exteriors.
Yep.
They're at 20,254.
Just for Crescent.
So they didn't want to do this building
No,
either?
they're working on this.
Oh, they're working.
But they're the ones I talked to you about, that, talking about doing the core up there.
Oh, the core sample, sure.
And
Mhm.
a core sample, and what they do is on the flat roof up here, they want to drill a hole.
Yeah.
In it and check the thickness of the insulation. And so this guy came out, we actually went through the build sheet of it. It's a R30. He said, so that should be code. They still want to do a core, just to make sure. But the scope of work up here is gonna be astronomical.
So they're saying could have been substandard construction?
Could be. Very well could be.
I would assume that they could build it to code. I would assume the code would have required that.
Yeah, the bare minimum code. I don't know, he started talking a bunch of lingo that I. had
From
no
Fairmont
clue
City.
what he was talking about. But this guy, he impressed me because he actually took the time to look at the build sheets, everything we have in here.
Mhm.
Even when he went over to the maintenance house,
Mhm.
he got up in the attic, there checking it out. Measuring the windows, everybody else was just guessing on the size of the windows. So. But he said hopefully he can have the bid for up here by Friday.
Okay.
This is Gonzalez. This is,
Expert in
Yeah,
exterior.
start exterior.
What did we get from the insurance company?
So Mark, I thought I had forwarded you. We did get. Martin said they wouldn't do the city hall because they did bid it. They were the ones who put the roof on this building, which is why we called them first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't print that one out, sorry.
Oh well, yeah. So
Yeah.
they would
No,
do
This
this.
is a different Martin.
Oh, this is a different
Yeah.
Martin.
Okay.
Okay. I was gonna say we have one from
Yeah, you got one
Martin
from
Roofing, which is the people who put the original roof on. Yeah. That one is 15. But are you sure it's the same guy? Wait a minute.
This is just.
Oh, this is a different guy. Okay, it is a different company. Anyway, so he bid too, which I thought I had forwarded these to you, John. 15,000 for the roof here. And then he also did one, let's see. Looks at a different bid
The
about.
guy that put the roof on originally.
Yeah. And I think you were gonna reach back out to him to get one for, yeah.
So
What I
he's-
sent you in September was to follow up with him to find out about 50 Crescent.
So he's half the price.
So maybe reach out to him if you haven't yet,
Of Gallagher.
because they were from the company that put on the roof originally.
Okay.
So his estimate was 15,000 for this building, and then he said he would look at 50 Crescent. So
Seems to be a big discrepancy.
yeah,
And what did we get from insurance?
a lot less than all this. We got 3 checks. Let's see, we got a check for 7,000 for the Bell House, I believe, 7-ish thousand. We got 2 checks for up here because we got the initial payout check, and then we got a deductible buyback check. So that was, the deductible buyback was 21, but what was the initial? 12?
I think it's, yeah.
12.
That's it.
So say 30 33,000-ish for up here. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but
33 for this bill.
for this building, yes.
What is our deductible? Offhand?
It's
5?
Yeah, well, yes, 5, but it was also complicated because it's a percentage of the value of the building, and then we have this deductible buyback that is part of our, it's very complicated, let's just say that. There are at least 4 different companies involved. So one company sent us the deductible buyback, one company sent us the initial check, and then we have our broker agent that we're dealing with too, so it's kind of all over the map in terms of how many people are involved in insuring this place. So,
Yeah, they all share the business, I think.
right, exactly. So the deductible, as I understand it, the final deductible, the portion that we will pay is $5,000. But they also said if these were going to come in significantly higher, Jared said to reach back out to him. And once we pick a contractor, then they can negotiate with them directly. So that was kind of the first. And I also asked John to, same way I did it at my own house, to not tell them what our insurance payouts were. So I wanted them just to give us a fair price on replacing or taking care of the damage as it was, because I just feel like that's not a great way to do business. I know that that's how insurance people work, but I personally don't think it's a great way to do business because it ends up being right around whatever you get paid out for. So in my mind, the roof should cost what it costs to replace it. You know, there shouldn't be that big of a discrepancy. So none of these contractors knew what our insurance payout was to this point. So it sounds like we'll probably have to go back to Jared and tell him, you know, if one of these companies you like, and or if you follow up with Martin and find out what his number is on the Bell House, and see if since he's the one who installed the roof in the first place.
Did that company install all those roofs?
Yes, that's my understanding that Martin
That roof,
did.
the metal roof and the shingle.
Yes, correct. Yes.
So you're closing bid acceptance this Friday?
We didn't go out for bid. We
Yeah.
went, since this is an emergency situation,
Right.
John's just been calling roofers and inviting them to come and take a look at it.
Would
He,
you still accept the bid this week?
sure.
Okay.
Contacted 13 different companies, and this is what we had.
Yeah, he's been making a lot of phone calls for sure.
Yeah, they're very busy.
They're
And they're
busy.
busy. I know, they're very busy right now, so.
Also, the Expert Exteriors, they have their own jack system to jack the HVAC unit up off the roof so they can repair and then let it down. But if they can't handle it, then we will have to call in another company to lift them up. And another company that I talked to, when he looked at him, he said, we don't touch that. You get a company out here to get them off the building, we'll do the job.
They'll
And
probably use your crane for that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
or we can pull and go with a helicopter.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's put on a show.
Sell tickets. Pay for the roof. Yeah, exactly.
I kind of at the moment feel more comfortable with going with the people that did it originally rather than have somebody else come in here and want to build a new building.
Well, I will say that, I'm not gonna agree or disagree with that statement that you just made, but if they are half as much as the other people and half as much as we got back in insurance,
Mhm.
we'll have to hand that money back to insurance.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure why we wouldn't, spend the money and make sure, that we're getting the best roof. It a little bit concerns me that a company is coming out, looking at all the stuff and saying, are you sure this was done right? And that at least one of the companies is in a range that matches what the insurance thinks this should cost.
Mhm.
And somebody else is at half that number?
Well, not half. That was only for one part, but
Oh, the 15.
the 15 is only for this building.
Right, but that's what.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
We
half
have-
of this
we
building?
Yeah, half of this
Yeah,
building.
that's
We
true.
have
Yeah.
33,000 from insurance.
Yeah, for this building.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
So
true.
they're at less than half of
Yeah,
what the
true.
insurance believes this should cost.
Right, good point.
That's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, Yeah,
That's a
that's a
scary
red
problem.
flag.
That's, exactly, to me, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
And why would I hand back to insurance?
Yeah.
Half of that money
Yeah.
to get a substandard roof potentially, when insurance believes it should cost X amount of dollars.
Well, they were hired by the architect.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just saying like, that's not, yeah, it's not like we went out and vetted a bunch of companies
Right.
and then
Yeah.
got this roofer that we really liked. We just got whoever
Sure.
that person brought in.
Yeah.
So when the insurance company comes back and says, we think it should be this X amount of dollars,
Mhm.
and we're getting people, at least one of which, and my guess is Expert Exteriors, especially since their first price is 20 for there, which is above their first price, it's gonna be,
Higher.
It's
well
gonna be
over
higher.
that for that. So we have two people who are gonna bid in the same range that the insurance company is saying,
Yeah.
I don't wanna
Yeah.
go back to the person who's
Yeah,
offering me
it's-
half as much.
It's
Yeah.
suspicious.
It doesn't sit well, I will say that, for me,
There's gotta be a reason why one of them wants to do a core test.
exactly.
I think you said 2 different companies brought that up, didn't they? The core sampling?
Yeah, Gallagher and, Expert
Okay,
Exterior.
okay.
And the Expert Exterior, he told me, he says, now you can call up 10 or 15 different companies. If they're good, every one of them's gonna wanna drill their own hole up there.
Exactly.
And he says, so do you really want 10 or 15 holes in, you know? Cause they're checking it, our value is 30. Is what we read on
Mhm.
the letters in there, that's all good. He says, but that's what it says on paper.
Exactly.
He said, we need to do the core and see if the membrane has been compromised, which he thinks it is because there's standing water up here on the flat roof. And he said it's been standing there so long it's starting to discolor the roof. And he thinks that there might be a bad job done up there.
Well, based on the water that we see coming out in the hallway here, makes you a little suspicious there may be more going on up there than what we know about.
Good opportunity to get it done right.
Exactly, that's
I
my
talked to another company. No, what's this Expert Exterior? He said that they could also do what they call it, he kept calling it a layover, where they would just overlay what's up there. You're not disturbing anything, you're gonna overlay what's up there to protect it, and it's glued down. And fasten with fasteners. And he said it's getting real popular in Florida, real windy areas. And he said it's working its way here, it's just not here yet. But he said that would be an option too, so I told him when he does this, to work it up both ways. To see, but they would still do a core to make sure we're to go.
Check references. Better Business Bureau and all that good stuff.
We have not
I
yet,
would
but we
like to
should.
see another bid or two.
Is there still a warranty on this roof?
Yeah, I think it had, I think we was reading in there, I think it was 3 years.
Really?
Boy, that's nothing.
Yeah, really.
I mean, usually shingles are at least 10
Yeah.
on just the cheapest shingles.
At least.
Yeah.
So you think there's any chance we'll get any more bids?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I still got a couple more coming in for just this building, but they
Okay.
won't be here till Friday or Monday.
Yeah.
What they're telling me.
We don't have any deadline like we did on the truck, right? Okay.
I haven't heard anything back from the truck either.
From the adjuster or from,
Well, I met with the guy over there. He looked at the truck, took all the pictures,
mhm,
said he was gonna submit it, but I haven't heard anything.
okay. Yeah, you should probably follow up with that lady that I forwarded you her.
Amy, Shannon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Follow up with her to make sure, because she was the one who said that if she doesn't hear from us by a certain date, she would assume we were not proceeding with the claim. So,
And then when I talked to her, she said that, we set it up for the guy to come out and take the pictures.
Mhm.
And she said, now the ball's rolling, so. But
Okay.
I'll give her a call and see.
Okay.
So we are gonna get a bid from expert for this building. Okay.
That's actually one I'm kinda anxious to look at.
Like Lisa, based on what I see here, it's probably gonna be 40.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's but if this other thing that they're gonna throw out brings it down to the other range, then, and we just have a lot to look at.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, it's kind of sensitive, so we wanna get as much information as
Yep.
quickly as we
Right.
can, because we're not gonna be on anybody's schedule for some time now.
Right,
Yeah.
that's why I
True.
wanted to talk about it now
More
rather than
items,
wait
exactly.
any longer, you
Yeah.
know, before we got into it, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for the information,
So
John.
we'll probably keep it on the agenda as kind of a standing
Yeah.
item for the next few board meetings until we
Right.
decide on somebody, because we'll have to decide on a contractor before we go back to Jared, because he'll want to work directly with the contractor to figure out the additional, if we need additional insurance proceeds, so,
Okay. That'll work.
okay. Thanks, John.
No hail damage in the pavilion or anything?
It seemed to be okay.
Yeah, there's all that tree protection.
Had a conversation in the pavilion, both the playground pavilion and the other one. Pretty good.
We were lucky there,
Mhm.
lucky
For
with the surface on the playground too.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, we have a new business resolution. As you know, April talked about last time, the election board has changed the schedule for applicants to register as candidates for the election. And it's on a ridiculous closing date of 5 o'clock or 5:30 on New Year's Eve,
5 o'clock on New Year's Eve, yes.
which.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
that's really not the only reason that I think we should consider this, and I hope you guys had a chance to read the nice memo that I
Yeah.
wrote. But basically, it's giving some more one-on-one time for a new candidate whenever they're filling out their candidacy for Twin Oaks. So I think that is in some ways an advantage, that they'll have somebody from the Board of Elections that they can sit down with. So I kind of ran down for you guys what the current procedure is about how someone were to go about filing their candidacy, and then what the new procedure would be, and then a list of the cities and school districts that currently use that. So, you know, Paul and I are not attorneys, obviously, so we can't really advise people on how to fill out their financial forms and things like that. But the Board of Elections, it's my understanding, we've both had conversations with staff over at the Board of Elections, that that's what they do. They literally sit down with candidates and go over the forms with them and help them fill it out. So that is one other advantage to going to this kind of, it is slightly more inconvenient to have to drive up to, you have to go to them. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
their
that's-
office is in St. Anne. It's about 25 minutes from here. They do have slightly longer office hours, obviously, than we do. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. So, and then obviously they will be open on New Year's Eve until 5 o'clock, which is that candidate deadline.
So they'll be cussing instead of us.
Yeah, right, exactly. They have some low-paid interns probably that get to hang out there. No, I don't know. On New Year's Eve.
I have one concern about this. I don't know why they would do this, but it says they're gonna provide the list of candidates in their ballot order determined by lottery. We've always had the list of candidates by the date that they signed up.
They
Yeah.
do it by lottery, meaning if there's two people on the first day that are waiting outside, those two have the one.
Yeah, I was going to say it is by time.
They don't
I'm
want
pretty
anybody,
sure.
they don't want people camping out there. So by lottery, they just mean that's how they're gonna handle it. If there's two people there at 8 o'clock in the morning on the first day of
First day.
filing.
Okay, so
Those
we should
two
get,
will pull
we
that
should
out.
get order.
Otherwise, it will be order of.
Order
Yeah.
of,
Okay,
yeah, when
that's
you
fine.
get there. Yeah.
But if you go on the last day, you're gonna be last on the list.
Yeah. I just have concerns about it because we have a hard enough time getting people to run. Now we're making it harder for them to go to St. Anne.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it, though. I can also see that someone might be intimidated to come up here and put their, hat in the ring. Whereas they might be, in a position to do that where they don't have to walk into City Hall. So it's.
Are we that intimidating?
I
I'm
don't
not.
think so.
I'm not personally, but I'm just saying, like, I can see that being a thing. Clearly, obviously not for me, but
I think they'd be less likely to just talk financial information there than here.
those forms are so easy. It's really, I don't worry about that, but that's just me.
Yeah, but you're familiar with
Exactly.
the
No, absolutely.
process.
No,
So,
absolutely. That's why I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't.
we
see
always
that
go
as-
back to,
as-
give me last year's form and let me.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
What did I
right.
say last year?
So I don't know, Joe,
I
do
do
you have
mine
thoughts
online
as the newest board member? And you'll be one filing
Yeah, I
this
don't-
year, so.
I don't have any history of what all this is like, so
It's easy.
I don't know. I haven't
it takes-
one way or the other.
It takes 15 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the paperwork's that tough.
No.
It'd be a little intimidating, but not too bad.
When do we have to make this decision by?
I think there was a deadline that they wanted it by, right, Paul?
3 weeks prior to the first date of filing, so they pretty much said the end of October.
End of October. And I think we can try it
Yeah,
and see
so I
how
was
it
gonna say-
goes.
You always, yeah.
We can
And
try
change
for a
it
year.
if we don't like it. Isn't that right,
Yeah.
Paul? We don't have to, we're not doing a long-term agreement with them,
It
right?
says it's a 5-year trial.
Well, but I put into our contract unless sooner terminated by the entity.
Right.
So it's 5 years unless we.
Unless we decide not to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think they can.
Yeah.
It's not like they're making money off of it.
Right.
No,
Okay, so
no.
There's no.
It's just a service they're offering, obviously.
Yeah. Just for the record, they weren't the ones that changed this filing date. That was the state.
Yeah.
Legislature.
Why do they have to be so idiotic about things?
Because they forever won't just ask municipalities what they think about things because they just assume you guys are up to no good, so they're gonna just change it. And instead of like asking the city clerks around the state, will this be devastating? And they'll be like, yeah, because nobody works that week. They don't.
So I think those of us going to St. Anne this year will be Dennis, myself, Joe, Lisa.
And all the people you don't know about.
And all the people we don't.
All the
That might be lined up, yes,
Yeah.
to run.
Exactly.
So horde of people lining up outside to get their name in there.
Exactly.
I'm okay with a trial.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me and,
But I can provide a taxi ride to all of you.
right, but then we're in the lottery. That's the problem.
That's right, you can't show up all at the same day.
Exactly. That would be the problem, is that then we'll all be on the same thing and they'll have to lottery us, and then Dennis's name wouldn't be first.
Or you could, as you're driving up there, you could decide who's gonna be first.
Well, will they let you do that?
I'm sure if you told them that, they'd
Yeah.
be fine.
It's okay, she can be first, that's
Yeah.
fine.
She was here before me.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you read resolution 2024-16? please?
Sure. Resolution 2024-16, a resolution of the Twin Oaks Board of Aldermen approving an agreement with the St. Louis County Board of Election Commissioners for provision of election and candidate filing processing services and authorizing the mayor to execute same.
Repeat.
No,
No, it's a resolution.
Just one.
We can just
Everyone.
move.
Cancel that.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2024-16?
Motion to adopt resolution.
The only one who doesn't have to drive to.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Roll call?
No,
No.
not a resolution.
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Okay, we'll adopt resolution 2024-16 by unanimous vote. Okay, discussion items, traffic calming on Merrimack Station Road.
So I put together a quick memo with some options. Since we had the incident a few weeks back, I know we have been talking about ways to improve safety on that stretch of roadway and perhaps some traffic calming. So these are just some like general research that I did about the ways to calm traffic in this that I thought might be pertinent to this roadway particularly. So some options are, I went out, well, I didn't go out. I did go out and look at it, but I did not measure it with a tape measure because it's kind of dangerous over there. But I did Google Earth measure it. So our current lanes on Merrimack Station are, the total paved distance is as wide as 40 feet in some areas, like the closer you get to the shopping center, and then it narrows down as you get to the Valley Park border to 35 feet. But the lane widths are about 11 to 12 feet. And so one consistent thing I found sort of across the board was that a lot of transportation officials and state agencies recommend 10 feet lanes in order to provide adequate safety and people drive slower on a narrower lane. So for suburban lanes like that one, they recommend 10 feet that gives adequate room for larger trucks and things like that, but still doesn't give people the freedom to drive as fast as they would on an 11 or 12 foot lane. So that is one option that we can look at that's relatively inexpensive. There's some other options like pinch points, they call them. So this would be if we were to ever consider, and I know we've talked about crosswalks at Fritz's kind of halfway down the block, something like this. This encroaches all the way into the lane and makes it a one-way. We wouldn't want to do that, obviously, but we could do a shorter version of that, which is more like these gateway treatments. So where there's some kind of, whether it be striping or raised curb or something that's kind of out into the roadway a little bit at the narrow point, because that also acts as a visual barrier to slow people down. And that could be, midway with a crosswalk in front of Fritz's that we could do. And then there's always the old speed humps, speed tables as options, which we know the fire department doesn't love, the snowplows don't love, but those are, yeah. So those are kind of the big things that we can consider in terms of safety. And I also got a call this week from the city administrator at Valley Park. And at their meeting earlier this week, a resident inquired about adding additional lighting in that area. So I know we talked many years ago about the decorative lights that we've used along Big Bend, about having those at all entrance points to Twin Oaks.
Yep.
So a couple of things in our just like staff discussions up here about it. One being, the place we would have to put it would be on that corner. So if we bring up, let's see, I had Google Earth.
Northwest corner.
Yes. So the northwest corner. And that is what the Valley Park resident wanted to know, if we would be able to put one at the northwest corner here.
Valley Park has a light on the south.
Yeah, so there is an existing light right here. If you
It's
can
not
kind of
ours.
see my cursor. Yeah, it's in the Valley Park side. It is on an existing Ameren pole. So they would like us to consider putting a light here, but with a resident directly across the street, we have concerns about there being complaints about light pollution in their house, especially with the kind of poles that we use that are those more globe type decorative poles. They're harder to shield. So when we were talking about it amongst the staff, Officer Wayner brought up a good point that there is a large Ameren pole right here, right kind of across from the existing Ameren pole. And I also sent a late note today to Nathan at Valley Park to ask him if they had considered asking Ameren to put a street light on that existing pole that is on the southwest side. So that way it would be a more directional light and they could direct it away from these homeowners here. So options for us to consider if you guys want to discuss. Do we want to do anything on Merrimack Station? Do we want to consider lane narrowing? Do we want to consider adding additional lighting?
I think we should look at additional lighting because at all of Merrimack Station, because now we have Aldi's, we have Ace Hardware, we have that. We look at some decorative lights there. and I know the shopping center on Merrimack. Now, when we get down to the residential lights, that's a different issue. We do have to be careful of the ambient light there.
So do the ones that we use not have a shield capability on them?
I think
on
they
one
could
side?
have.
I
we
would've
just-
sworn that
we
we
just-
talked about.
We
that
did,
at the
so we
beginning.
We never, well, they have what they call street side,
Right.
which is brighter, but I would have to think they have some kind of shield where they can shield the entire.
If I remember correctly, the very old lights that we have that are throughout the village or throughout the city have the capability of being shielded.
They
But
do.
the new ones that we chose for the updated lights on Big Bend do not.
Right.
So that was the issue, was that if we were to put those in the more residential areas, we could not go with the same style to match because they didn't have the shield
Yeah.
ability, because they're more globe shaped, they're not, it's just not available. So we would either have to pick a complementary style that could be shielded. The other issue is the height there. With an Ameren pole, you've got lots of height to put
Yes,
a very,
absolutely.
very tall, high light that would flood the entire intersection and be directional away. Those poles that we have, they're only one height, and that makes it more difficult closer to a resident's window. So that was my concern
Yeah.
was, and I asked Nathan, to maybe approach that homeowner, see how they felt about it before we even considered putting a light there. We would obviously have to talk to the homeowner on Twin Oaks side and see what their feelings would be about it.
With Fritz's there, it can't be that dark. Now,
Well,
that
it is.
corner
It is,
is.
here's what I'll tell you, it is shockingly dark.
Is it?
From Fritz's down.
Is it?
Shockingly dark, because we went up like the day after that.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how dark, if you simply stand at Fritz's and look that direction.
Yeah.
There's no lighting.
Yeah,
None.
down to that intersection.
All the way to that
Yeah.
intersection.
But up
So-
by Fritz's, there has to be light up there.
Well, there's only Fritz's light. That's
Well, it's
it.
pretty
Yeah, the light
bright.
from Prince. Yeah.
But like that's them from here, but like you get down to like, you go down a little bit or you go that direction. There's no other lighting on that street.
Yeah.
I really was surprised at how dark it was.
Didn't we used to have a stop sign there also
Oh, a million years ago.
as you're coming from Valley Park?
You mean here,
You mean?
Yeah,
this area right
Yeah,
here
I think
somewhere?
we had a
stop.
Huh?
Not that I recall.
I thought we did that for traffic calming, to slow the traffic down.
There's one further down. At where you come onto
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
from Vance.
You
what is
mean
that?
in Valley Park,
Yeah.
down here?
Right. So when you come,
Look out.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
terrible at this.
I thought it was, that
Alfred?
intersection is
All
a
the way down
three-way.
here?
I thought we had
Yeah.
a two-way
Coming
stop.
Is there a
way.
yield that way?
So
Okay.
anybody who comes off of here, there's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing, you're right.
No, that's
Yeah.
the other end, I'm talking about the one at Crescent.
So you mean, did I pass it? Yeah, here?
I think at one time
At
there
one
was a
time, there
stop
was
sign.
one right there.
I'm not sure, but it seems like this was a three-way intersection. We had a two-way stop.
Hmm.
We had a stop here, and we had a
Uh-huh.
stop here.
Okay. So on this side.
But that's
and
another
this
way
side.
you could slow
That's
that
true.
traffic
That is
down.
another option that I did not consider, yeah.
If we do look at lane narrowing, we need to make sure that we talk to the fire department about that too.
Okay.
So, I think they'd be okay with it, but
Mm-hmm.
And would it just be striping to narrow, or would you put a barrier?
Well, there's options. I mean,
Good.
there are, things that you can do for a set, like a pedestrian barrier, or it could just be striping.
I just think striping, they would just,
oh yeah.
because you'd have such a wide shoulder at that
Right.
point.
Right.
I don't know if that would do enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were talking about different grant options to
Mm-hmm.
redo that, and part of it was to build in sidewalk and even maybe a barrier between the pedestrian and a roadway. But that's a ways away.
Right. This
Right.
would be more of a short-term
Yeah,
solution. What could we do now, relatively inexpensively, to try to mitigate some of the concern on this roadway until we get to the point where we can get that STP grant to do a larger project all along Merrimack Station.
I think we do need to restripe it.
Probably.
We restriped it. I just looked this up today in early 2022 or 2023. It was not that long ago.
Yeah. But we used the cheap paint.
Yeah, I want to say it was 2023 actually, but we did, I think, use
We
the less
need to use
expensive
the good paint. That'll stay longer.
Yeah, I think that we striped it just to see if we thought that would be helpful.
Right, we were making some walking
Yeah, we just
lanes.
decided, you know.
Yeah, and crosswalks.
Yeah, we did do the crosswalks
Yeah.
at that time, and I think
Right.
John has touched up the crosswalks at least once since then.
Yeah,
Did we, when we striped it, did we stripe the sides like the yellow, whatever?
We did.
Did we? Okay.
yeah, but they're faded again too.
And we striped it at the existing lane width.
Sure.
We did not do any narrowing at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't think the paint that we used had a lot of reflective
Quality.
capability to it.
Yeah,
Where the good stuff, I mean, now that we know we probably do need
clearly we know that.
a stripe, we ought to get the good paint with the reflection on it.
Yeah, and we should make a decision about whether or not we think that, you know, narrowing the lanes is something that we want to do. I am for that, you know, idea. It gives the walkers more space. And, you know, you do see quite a lot of walkers on that stretch of road.
Yep.
I would love to find a way to light that better, right? Like, yes, in the long term, could we do bollard lighting or something else along a sidewalk that exists? Yes, we could do all of these things.
Yeah,
But in the
yeah.
short term, you know, maybe we go to the people who, you know, have, like whatever company we've used and say, all right, what would be complimentary
What could we put there?
that
Yeah.
could have shielding on the residential side of it?
Is it Holloway?
Say again, the
Holloway,
company? Oh, I have no
the
idea.
lighting company?
I have no idea.
We have to go back and look.
Yeah.
And if I do remember,
Mhm.
I think we talked to Big Bend Square, and they have not replaced a light that is down over there because that particular style of light is
Not
on back
available.
order, not available. Yeah. So that's another thing to consider.
And I mean, there's gotta be something that's in a range, and it's, to me, complimentary is all we have to be. We don't have to have the exact same
Exact
lights, you know?
Yeah.
It's a different area. It is much more, you know, car than, you
Yeah.
know, than sort of all of these things.
Yeah.
And I think probably doing them up like where we go both ways makes sense, but I would want more than just the one at that corner. Like I would want one there and then, you know, probably two more coming at some stretch down that, because it's black dark
Let's start
On Merrimack Station or on
Yeah.
Crescent?
on Merrimack.
on
Station.
Merrimack Station.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one maybe at the corner here and
Right.
one further down, maybe
Right,
at this
so,
corner?
so this
or
house right here, so,
I don't know
the
where
one
you're
that's in between, right?
Yeah.
With the
This,
solar
this
panel.
commercial one? Yeah.
Right, so it's commercial, so I again, don't have those same concerns, right? So
Right.
it's a good place to put one, is sort of in that area, and it
Right.
has tree
There is
shading.
this residential house right
Right,
here.
but if we put it on this side of those trees, we don't
Yeah.
have that
So
problem.
here. Mhm.
And then, you know, probably go down and put one, you know,
Here?
somewhere there, I don't know exactly.
One of, somewhere in this block.
Somewhere in that
Mhm.
block,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
And probably I'd, you know, go further that way because you do have the Fritz's lighting.
Yeah,
happening
and
there.
this, you know, this commercial area, they've got some lighting here, don't they? I mean, right here's there's for Gateway
Right.
Credit Union, so
Yeah.
maybe this is as
Yeah,
far as
somewhere
you'd
that
like to go.
stretch, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so maybe
I
three
looked at-
lights.
I looked at I went over to the street tonight and taking a foot off of each side would not, I mean, that's easy. That's very doable.
Yeah, it'd just be striping.
And 1 foot on each side gives you a lot more
It does.
room.
Yeah, we walked up there at fireworks from TJ's house, so from a house down the road. So basically the
Yeah.
same stretch that we're talking about, you know, past Crescent. And when you're walking and there are cars going, they're close to you.
Yeah.
You know, and we were, you know, like if there were places where you needed to walk single line,
Mhm.
right? And I was picturing like,
Yeah,
And
particularly
having
down
little
here,
kids-
it gets very narrow.
absolutely, right,
Yeah.
and his house is just further down,
Mm-hmm.
so I really was like more aware than I've been.
Yeah.
I've probably never come quite that far down, but like we were walking, it was a busy night, all of the people leaving the fireworks stuff, and we decided to just walk over, get ice cream, and walk back to his house and then drive home. And so, you know, we're walking now while there's quite a lot of traffic on Merrimack Station. And we weren't the only people doing that walk, right? It's fireworks night in Twin Oaks, so there's a lot of people. And it was like, there were times where you wanted to be one behind the other on this stretch of road because you really couldn't be side by side without being in the roadway. So I think if we could do that and do really good, striping that is reflective, we could even, potentially add in those, I know they have like little reflective tabs and things like
Yeah.
that. Anything we could do to make it, this is the road, stay on it. And then I love to think of the idea of at least, whether that's a short-term, long-term, whatever. I know that nobody likes the tables and the things, but the ones that are a table as opposed to a bump,
So
right, that last
Yeah.
picture,
right.
Yeah.
Something
something
more,
more like that one. So
Yeah.
it's not really,
right, like this, where it's a,
Right.
it's a
So
higher,
exactly.
wider
So-
hump. Yeah.
Exactly. So you come in and you actually do yellow out like this whole sort of sloped area.
Mhm.
And they have them in a lot more areas now, so people are used to that than being. It's not
Right.
It's not going to bottom out your car. It's not going to any of these other things. It is going to give a very designated and bold difference.
Mhm.
And I think aesthetically, it looks better than stripes.
Oh,
on
it's
the street.
yeah.
It just look better.
yeah. I mean,
We're
they're
trying
doing
to-
it in a
We're
lot
trying
of
to
these
spruce
walkable
that up. We
towns,
tried a little
right?
bit
Wildwood
with
has them
curbs.
in their like
Last year,
town center.
You know, we redid the curbs, they were collapsing, as you made the turn.
Mm-hmm.
But that wide section of the road it just looks bad.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah.
Once you get to the narrow section, it starts looking better.
So I mean, and something like that would be, at the one place that we know people are going to cross for sure,
At
which is that
Fritz's,
Fritz's.
yeah. And it is midway down the block, so
It
that's a
is.
good way,
It is
place
also
to slow
that
people
sort of
down.
halfway point.
Yeah.
I think would be a even if we did nothing other than make it yellow all the way, you know what I mean? Like do something that said very boldly, this is where the crosswalk is. If we weren't ready to do the sort of table, thing until we overlay and get, fire departments on board and whatever,
Mhm.
they have to deal with them in other places. So,
Mhm.
I get that like speed bumps are one thing. A speed bump is going to bottom out your car when you need to go fast. I can't imagine they have the same problem with the tables. And my assumption would be is that that's why people are using them more,
Mhm.
is because the fire departments complain about them less.
Mhm.
But in the whole walkability,
Mhm.
theme, it's just where people are going now,
Mhm.
right? So, that's my
Good.
2 cents.
But where El Nopal is, that's Manchester, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are Manchester, yes.
Yes.
And then right after that, it changes.
Valley Park.
Valley
To
Park.
Valley Park,
Park,
on that side, yeah.
and that's what they're working on now.
No, they literally just had a resident come to the meeting and ask for light in that area, and they singled out that corner that's our corner, and so that's why he reached out to me. But like I said, I think there is an option if we can get some prices on these lights, obviously, but I think there maybe a shorter term solution is to go back to them and say, hey, have you explored getting Ameren to put a pole,
Right, and
light
it's
on
their
that other
resident.
pole?
I mean,
Yeah, it's their resident,
Right.
And there is room on their side of the street too.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, so, certainly that is an even quicker fix to me
Right.
for what they're asking. So my
Yeah.
conversation isn't about what Valley Park is asking about, it's
Right.
more like what
What do we
long-term
want?
to
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if our term, if our plan winds up with a light down there at the corner, okay, great, but
Yeah.
you know,
But if we tell them they should put a light up there and they put a light up there and then we decide we're gonna do something on our side, then we'll wish it wasn't there.
well, that, we'll figure out a different place to put it, or we won't need one there, so we'll only need two.
Two.
So,
True.
and then we'll do one as you're crossing the bridge at some point or whatever, right? Like on the sidewalk thing down the line. So, I don't think that has to, I wouldn't let that stop us. Because their fix may be better in that they could get above the eye level of the house, which is something we cannot do on our side of the street.
But if we could go back and look up, see who we used out here on Big Bend,
Mhm.
go back to them, even if they'll even come out
Mhm.
and take them over there and say, what options do we have here? We don't necessarily want to do this. What other options do we have?
Okay.
There's no electricity on that side of the street though,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good to know.
so
Thank you.
So
That's why
that
it's
would
so
be
dark.
another issue, huh?
that's
Yeah.
gonna be
Okay.
another expense.
Yeah,
Turn- that's
another expense.
Yeah.
Four under the road and
Yeah.
run it
Yeah.
all along. I
Okay.
think you ran into that a couple places right out here where you had to pay
Yeah.
for electricity to get run.
Mm,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all in Valley Park stuff.
Okay, well, I can put together a couple of options, kind of price wise, and see, you know, A, what the lane striping would cost us, B, maybe adding something like this picture mid-block in front of Fritz's, and then C, the additional lighting. So I will work on that.
And you can just have the complaint box right next to it.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
All right.
You'll have as many people liking it as you have complaining about it.
okay.
True.
Attorney's report, Paul.
I had nothing.
Okay. City clerk report.
Okay, I just have a few things. I went to an MSD local leaders meeting on Monday, which was interesting. There is a lot of stormwater grant programs that I was not familiar with, and I don't recall us ever talking about it in my time on the board. So they have something that's an OMCI grant or something like that. And we apparently have $30,000 a year that is budgeted for stormwater for our municipality to use. And she mentioned something about some municipalities banking that for bigger projects. So I reached out to Nicole at MSD, and we're going to have a phone conversation about it so she can kind of get me up to speed on this, because I don't recall, and I don't know if anybody else remembers us ever hearing about this.
No.
I didn't think so. So I'm going to get some more information about that. So
Because if we knew, wouldn't we have already fixed the triple
that's
inlet?
kind of what I was thinking. If we knew we had this money
Triple
out here,
inlet
would we
is
have
ours.
used it?
It's not theirs.
No, but it's stormwater.
It is
This is
stormwater.
just
Yeah.
stormwater.
Right. It
But,
is
I mean,
literally just municipal grants from
for
MSD
stormwater projects.
for stormwater projects. Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So it
So,
doesn't have to be their stuff.
and they're all based on population, which is why we're in the lowest,
Yeah.
category, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
$30,000 a year. But
Still.
it's not nothing. So it's
We can try it.
yeah, definitely something to look into. So more on that to come.
Is that state money?
It's
No.
MSD money.
There's that tax that,
It's from Prop S
yeah.
that
people
just
are paying in.
passed.
Project Clear or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And part of when they went out to get it passed, they pledged to keep it and have some for the utility, the municipality.
Mhm. I think it's 30% of the total, the rate increase. And they did say that rate increases will not start showing up on people's bills. Commercial bills, I think January of 2025 or something like that. And residential will be shortly after that. So it will be charged on property tax bills, but it was approved by the voters. So 30%. So that's actually in addition. So I don't know what that money is going to look like, because that hasn't been disseminated yet. This 30,000 a year is from an old grant program that apparently we just didn't know about. So there will be.
It got revived. It was like on the books and then they brought it back, and the feedback they got was that the way they got the cities to say, go ahead and bring it back, was they said, and we'll let you have some of that money.
Okay. There you go.
So they kind of went on the road and got a bunch of
Yeah.
cities to write letters and say they support it.
Okay. Good.
All good.
So more to come on that. We will resume working on the capital budget and the general budget when Dave gets back from vacation. So expect to have another capital meeting. I'll get with Russ and figure out when he wants to do that, if we want to do another separate meeting or just do it as part of the board meeting coming up. Our emergency tree service contract is expiring at the end of November.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be issuing an RFP for that. So we have some new contacts that we're going to reach out to and hopefully get some bids on that. So we'll have somebody in place going forward. The leaf postcards have been ordered and have been out. We went with a different vendor this time where we could print, and then they mailed them for us. So, and it was cheaper too. So that was great. So they should be hitting mailboxes this week probably. And then also the volunteer shirts are in. Sadly, we didn't get to use them at Family Fun Day because of all the rain, but I thought I would show them to you guys. So they came in for the volunteers, and then they have volunteer on the back.
I love it.
So if you work at an event, you can have one too. But we're keeping those for the park committee people, and then anybody who volunteers at any of our city events. So yeah, so that'll be nice to have kind of people who to go to for future events when we have them in the park, especially Easter.
Does
things
anybody
like
want
that.
to take home a box of Tootsie Rolls?
I have some ideas for how to get rid of
Okay,
that. Don't worry.
okay.
I have some ideas
Yeah.
for how to get rid of that.
Yeah.
So the event updates, I touched on that a little bit. We had to cancel Family Fun Day, sadly, because the park was too soggy. So we do have a lot of stuff left over, but Paul and I have a plan for how to get rid of whatever perishable snacks that we couldn't use that night, and then everything else we can keep for next year's event.
You can eat that much.
We didn't. I don't know how much snacks, but we're going to take a lot of it to movie night in October. So that'll be the next event coming up. So project updates really quick. We did have a slight construction issue with the sidewalks that were poured in place last week. The contractor didn't double check the widths on the sidewalks, so some of them were poured too narrow, so they're being torn out now and replaced. So that was a little delay, but I don't think it's going to delay the project overall. They were very apologetic about it, but they're going to fix it, and that's the bottom line. It'll be correct when it's all said and done.
Wait a minute, isn't BFA being paid to oversee this?
No, that was not BFA's issue. Trust
Obviously,
me.
we
Trust
need
me.
more time to plan
Sounds like
on
they're
it.
the ones that caught it.
Yeah, we were the ones.
Yeah.
Actually, BFA's the one who caught it.
Right.
Correct. And then we spent all morning Monday out with the contractor going over each slab individually to talk about what needed to come out.
I saw a bunch of slabs missing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there will be some coming out, but it's fine. It'll be fixed, and we're still on timeline for that. We had a meeting with Voss Electric and Berta Electric and some manufacturing reps in the park, which was great to go over kind of assessing the current situation of the electrical in the park. And they had a lot of great suggestions to give us, and they're working up an estimate for kind of in phased parts. Some things we could get done this year, and that may be just updating and running new lines, and then we may be adding additional lighting in next year's budget. So they were very helpful, though. I thought they had a lot of great suggestions about what we should use, what would work best, what kind of timing that we could use so that we could control the lights. We could control them. They have where we could control them up here, which is great, even from our computers up here, so they can be all controlled remotely.
Demo.
Yes, we can change the timing. We can dim certain ones, so there's a lot of options available to us. So they're working on that, so we should have something.
The good news was the power in the comfort station appears to be sufficient for the park.
Pleasant surprise.
Yes, yeah. So it's just mostly running additional lines where we have existing solar and we want wired lights. And they had great ideas about certain poles that had, outlets in them so that we can do Christmas lights and things like that on them. So I thought that was very helpful to find out from them. So we'll be working on that and hopefully having some numbers about what we can get done this year before the end of the year, hopefully. So that's all I have, unless anybody has other questions for me.
Did you want to mention our visit from Paul?
From
Paul
Paul.
Brockman.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think it was Paul. One of our residents came up just to kind of give some thoughts and ideas about things that he had noticed in the park and throughout the village or the city. I keep saying village. Why? Anyway, throughout the city. Old habits die hard. So that was great. It was nice to have his engagement up here and give us some suggestions about what we can do differently and things he'd like to see. So I appreciated that. Russ responded to him and he
We
appreciated
got back
the
to him
response.
and he was very appreciative that we did that. I mean, most of the stuff that he was pointing out were good items. This particular lot needs a little bit of cleanup, and a curb issue. There is a curb issue back in the condominiums going up the hill in the back. You know what I'm talking about? We ran a high curb up there. Okay. We didn't run it far enough. So what's happening is the water's coming down, it's going off the road, and it's creating about a 2-foot rut going down to the creek. I think we need to look at that before we rush up there and build another curb in there to make the water run faster to the drain, because we're already overloading that drain sometimes. So I think, anyway, that's an area where I think we really need to think about, maybe we just make that 2-foot rut a real creek to go down there. That was one item. He had a couple other stormwater things that And it was interesting, one of the condominium residents asked me recently about those storm drains in the back where we walked and had MSD come out. And
Mhm.
so they were happy to hear that we did have them clear that out, because they said in the past they've always collected water down there.
Yes. And I recently learned that storm drain area is on an MSD project list for 2030. So, good to know.
So, but at any rate, he had a lot of good suggestions, and one of the tie walls he was concerned about on the creek back there, but the condominiums already know about that. So anyway, it's a good visit, good feedback. He was appreciative, and
We are always glad to take resident input. So anytime anybody wants to come up and bend my ear, you're welcome to do it.
okay, Paul, you had no report?
Right.
Okay, you done?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, city clerk report. I don't have anything else. Tim?
As you're up in the woods and you're looking at the restroom area, that clear cut area up on top of there, it really looks rough. You know, on top of the hill there.
I'm trying to figure out where you're talking about.
About the restrooms and the
Behind the restrooms?
Yeah, if you're standing in the woods, you know.
Which woods?
The woods. Across
Where
from
the bridge is?
The tennis courts, at the tennis courts.
Oh, at the tennis courts.
Yeah, if you're standing up on that hill and you're looking across at the restroom area,
Down.
that clear cut, recent clear cut up there on top where all the trees are gone, it's looking pretty bad. And I think that it's gonna have an effect on the picnic tables that are down.
The mud's already washing down.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Just wondering, if we're addressing it or concerned about it or.
There
Well,
is a stop work order in place for that property.
we could put some bales of hay up, I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't know. I just think it's changing the whole landscape of the park.
We don't know what he's gonna do with the property. We don't know what plan he has for the property. County doesn't know what plan he has for the property. All they did was stop it until he can come forward with what he's gonna do there.
I see. Okay.
So, I mean, we are having some mud washed down. I don't know, I don't think it's become a huge issue yet, but if it does, we'll have to put some kind of fence up, or
Is there a reason we wouldn't make him do
he should
that?
be putting the fence up.
Okay. Can we make him do that? Like
I
now?
would think you'd need some kind
Yeah.
of.
If he has a stop
Silt
work order,
fence.
then he already has gone against what someone has said. So if we need him to put up a silt fence of some sort or barrier for the edge of the property, since he's not going to be able to work on it and it's all mud, then we need to push to do that.
Well, yeah, have the,
They have St. Louis County.
yeah,
push to do
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Same people with the county, they might wanna,
Absolutely.
because of the size of the clearing, it might require a full-on
Oh, I'm sure it does.
SWIP, you know.
There's no question it does, and that's why he's under a stop work, but they can then require him to.
It'd probably be good to have the county inspector come out and look at that property from the
From the park
parks,
side. Yes.
park side.
Yeah. Somebody talking to
He
them
did
and
actually,
explaining.
when he came
Did
out
he?
the first time. Yeah, Mike Burkemper, he did go down into the park. He actually looked at it from that side first before he went up
Yeah,
and talked to the property owner.
We looked at it from all sides.
Yeah.
Right. Was that prior to the last rains that we just had?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that was a
I
while,
bring him back.
that was a while ago when he issued the stop work in the first place. And so that was
Yeah.
So I mean, I would bring him back
a
and
month
say,
ago.
Well, it's such a drastic change. You know, it's not a change that evolves over time. It's just a drastic change. And I really, maybe we ought to look into having some drone pictures taken, before and after. I don't know, just thinking about it.
Before it's a little tough now, isn't it?
Hmm?
Before it's a little tough now.
Yeah, it is. Well, Google has before pictures that are not too bad. That's it.
Dennis?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Joe?
Not tonight.
Lisa?
no, I had something earlier, but I didn't write it down and therefore forgot.
Save it for next meeting.
Right, exactly. I'm sure it was unimportant, so.
We have any citizen comments?
Not last time I checked. No, we have no viewers.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us? We'd be happy to take your questions. Okay. All right. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Okay.
Meeting adjourned.